My name is Michael Evans. I'm 34 years old, and I used to believe trust was the one thing you never had questioned. I worked as a lead security architect for a firm here in Seattle. My specialty was penetration testing. I found the weak spots in systems, the hidden flaws everyone else missed. I earned $192,000 a year. That let me buy a modern townhouse in the Queen and neighborhood. Life from the outside looked perfect. I was engaged to Sophia Rossi. She was a senior curator at the Seattle Art Museum. Brilliant, graceful, with a smile that could disarm anyone. We met 2 years ago at a gallery opening. I knew within weeks she was the one. My father, David Evans, was 62, a semi-retired, respected cardiologist. He was my hero, the man who taught me everything about integrity. He and my mom, Carol, had been married for 40 years. Their relationship was my blueprint. When I introduced Sophia to my parents, it was seamless. My dad welcomed her like a daughter. They bonded over Italian wine and classic literature. My mother adored her. We had Sunday dinners. We spent holidays together. It was all so perfect. Our wedding was set for a Saturday in June. The ceremony was booked at the Fairmont Olympic Hotel. We had 120 guests coming. My best man was my college friend, Mark. Sophia's maid of honor was her sister, Isabella. We put a deposit down on a 3-week honeymoon in Bali. I had spent months planning every detail. It was all falling into place. The night before the wedding, I was at the Thompson Hotel with my father. We were going over the final timeline for the next day. Sophia and my mom were at a different hotel, following tradition. My dad and I ordered steaks from the hotel restaurant. We sat at a small table in my suite. It was a perfect, quiet father-son moment, one I thought I'd remember forever. Around 10 p.m., my dad's phone buzzed on the table. He'd gone to the restroom, leaving it there unlocked. A text notification lit up the screen. My eyes, trained to spot anomalies, glanced over. What I saw stopped my heart. The message was from Sophia, sent just 2 minutes earlier. It read, "Thinking about last night. Your hand's on me. I can't wait until this charade is over and we can be together for real. I love you, David." Attached was a photo. It was unmistakable. An intimate picture of the two of them in what looked like my father's study, taken the previous night, while I was at my bachelor party, while I was toasting my future with my friends. They were together. The world shrank to the size of that phone screen. My fiancée, my father, the two people I trusted most. I heard the bathroom door handle turn. My training kicked in. I didn't react. I didn't rage. I simply picked up my own phone, and I took 3 crystal clear pictures of his screen. Documentation. Evidence. My father came out, smiling, ready for the big day, son. He had no idea. The hypocrisy was staggering. I forced a smile back. My voice was eerily calm. "Yeah, Dad, I've never been more ready." I told him I was tired and needed to sleep. He clapped me on the shoulder and left. The door clicked shut, and I was alone. The silence in the room was deafening. The man in the tailored suit in the luxury hotel room was a complete stranger to himself. I thought of all the little things I'd missed. Sophia's sudden yoga classes that ran late. My father's new golf weekends. The way they'd sometimes share a look across the dinner table. A look I thought was fondness. Now I knew it was a secret. I sat on the edge of the bed. The wedding was in 12 hours. 120 guests were arriving. My mother was probably helping Sophia with her veil. And I was the only one who knew this perfect world was a lie. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. A cold, focused clarity washed over me. This wasn't a moment for emotion. This was a system breach. And it was my job to contain it. I am a security architect. I find weaknesses, and I exploit them. This wedding wasn't going to be canceled. It was going to be weaponized. They wanted a charade? I would give them a performance they would never forget, and everyone we knew would have a front row seat. The first thing I did was secure the evidence. I uploaded the photos of my father's phone to a private, encrypted server. I created multiple backups, one on a secure cloud drive, another on a physical hard drive I kept in my safe. I wasn't taking any chances. Then I just sat there, in the silence of that hotel room. The weight of it all finally crashed down. The perfect life I thought I had was a carefully constructed lie. The two pillars of my world had collapsed, and I was buried in the rubble. I felt a hollow ache in my chest. It wasn't just anger. It was profound, devastating grief. I was mourning my father. I was mourning Sophia. I was mourning the future I thought we'd have. All of it was gone. For a few hours, I was at my lowest point. I considered just leaving, getting in my car and driving away from everything. But that's not who I am. I don't run from problems. I analyse them. I find their core vulnerability, and I dismantle them. My mind started working again, clicking through the problem like a complex code. The wedding was the attack vector. The guests were the network. And I needed a payload. I needed a lawyer. It was almost midnight, but I made the call. I called Rebecca Shaw. She'd handle my business contracts and my townhouse closing. She was sharp, ruthless, and discreet. She answered on the fourth ring, her voice groggy with sleep. "Rebecca, it's Michael Evans. I need your help. It's urgent." I laid it all out for her. The text, the photo, the wedding in less than 10 hours. There was a long silence on the other end. "Michael, I am so sorry," she finally said. Her tone was all business now. "The first thing you need to know is this. Do not get married. Do not sign a single document. No matter what happens tomorrow, you walk away single." She told me everything was on my side. The prenuptial agreement we'd signed was ironclad. But since the marriage wouldn't happen, it was moot. Washington is a community property state, but without a marriage certificate. Sophia had no claim to anything of mine. My townhouse, my investments, my salary, it was all protected. "Now," Rebecca said, "tell me what you're planning to do at this wedding." I told her my idea, a public reveal, letting everyone see the truth at the same time. I expected her to tell me it was a bad idea, emotional, reckless. Instead, she surprised me. "From a legal standpoint, it's your event. You're sharing factual information about your own life. As long as you don't defame them, you're on solid ground. It's brutal, but it's legal." She offered to be there, to stand in the back of the ceremony, as my legal counsel, just in case things went sideways. I agreed immediately. Having her there was a tactical advantage. I got off the phone with a new sense of purpose. The grief was still there, but it was now fuel. I had a plan, and I had a lawyer. The next step was the execution. I needed a way to distribute the evidence, quickly, simultaneously, to everyone. I thought about the wedding program. A simple piece of paper on every seat, but a QR code would be better, more modern, more intriguing. People can't resist scanning a QR code. I used a basic web tool to generate one. It linked directly to a private page I built. The page had just two things on it: the screenshot of the text message and the photo. No commentary, just the evidence. The heading simply read, "A message from the groom." I went down to the hotel's business center. It was 2 a.m. The attendant was half asleep. I printed 200 small, elegant cards. They looked like part of the wedding. On the front, it said, "Scan for a special message from Michael." And below it, the QR code. I slipped them into my garment bag, right next to my custom Tom Ford tuxedo. The irony was almost beautiful. I went back to my room. I didn't sleep. I sat by the window, watching the lights of Seattle blink. I rehearsed the day in my head. Every step, every possible reaction. The sun began to rise over the Puget Sound. Pink and orange light spilled into the room. It was the day of my wedding. I should have been nervous with excitement. I was just ready. I showered. I shaved. I put on that $1,000 tuxedo. I looked at myself in the mirror. The man staring back was calm, calculating. He was a security architect about to expose the biggest vulnerability of his life. I met my father in the hotel lobby for the ride to the Fairmont. He looked proud. He put his hand on my shoulder. "Today's the day, son. I'm so happy for you." His words were like daggers, but I just smiled. A cold, thin smile. "Me too, Dad." It's all going to be very revealing. We arrived at the Fairmont Olympic. The place was stunning, full of flowers and soft light. Guests were starting to arrive. My mother found me, her eyes full of tears of joy. She hugged me tightly. My little boy, I'm so proud. I held her close. Knowing what was coming for her was the hardest part. Her world was about to be destroyed, too. I saw Sophia from across the room. She was in her wedding dress, a breathtaking lace Vera Wang gown. She looked like an angel. She blew me a kiss. I gave her a small, confident nod. Everything was in place. The string quartet began to play. The guests took their seats. My best man, Mark, stood by my side at the altar. "This is it, man," he whispered. "You ready?" I adjusted my cufflinks. "More than you know." The officiant began to speak about love and trust and forever. I saw my wedding coordinator, Sarah, moving through the aisles. She was discreetly placing one of my cards on every single seat. Guests picked them up, curious. I saw them pulling out their phones. I saw the first QR code get scanned. Uncle Carl scanned his. His face went from curiosity to confusion to utter horror. He showed his phone to his wife. Her hand flew to her mouth. The ripple effect began. Whispers turned into a wave of gasps. Heads turned. People looked at my father. They looked at Sophia, still walking toward me. They looked back at their phones. The music faltered. The officiant stopped talking. He could feel the energy in the room shift. Sophia reached the altar. Her smile was fading. She could sense something was terribly wrong. "What's happening?" she whispered to me, her voice tight with panic. I didn't answer her. I just looked at my father. He was staring at a card in his hand. His face was ashen white. He understood. The officiant, confused, did his duty. He reached the famous line. "If anyone here knows of any reason why these two should not be joined in marriage, let them speak now, or forever hold their peace." The room was dead silent. Every single eye was on me. I took a step forward. I looked out at the crowd of our family and friends. I spoke clearly into the microphone. "Yes," I said, "I have something to say." There was a beat of silence. Then chaos. People were murmuring. A few gasped audibly. Someone in the back even said, "Oh my God." I stood there, calm, not shaking, not angry, just stunned. I looked directly at Sophia, and then my father, and then I spoke. "I found out last night that the woman I was about to marry and the man who raised me have been having an affair." More gasps. The room was dead, quiet otherwise. I nodded toward the crowd. "By now, most of you have seen the proof. The QR code you scanned shows a message from me, with screenshots and photos taken directly from my father's phone. Dated, time-stamped, unmistakable." Sophia was frozen beside me, still holding her bouquet, still in that stunning Vera Wang dress. Her eyes were wide, lips trembling, like she was waiting for someone to wake her up. But this was real. I turned to the officiant. "I won't be getting married today, but I will be speaking my vows." I pulled out a small note card. My original vows were handwritten there, but I had replaced them hours earlier. These were different, sharper, final. I read them out loud. "My vow is this. I will no longer confuse proximity with loyalty. I will no longer give trust to those who treat it like currency. And I will no longer tolerate betrayal dressed as love. To my father, you taught me to be a man of principle. I'm sorry you couldn't live by your own lessons. And to Sophia, I wish you healing. But not from me." I turned to the crowd. "I'm sorry you all had to witness this. But I refuse to begin my life with a lie. Enjoy the open bar. The food is paid for. And please, tell my mother I'll call her tonight." And then I walked, right out the side door, into the hotel corridor. Rebecca, my lawyer, was standing there. She gave me a nod and handed me an envelope. Inside were the annulment papers, pre-signed, just in case someone tried to twist the narrative. She had also filed an official cease and desist letter to both Sophia and my father, preventing them from using my name or likeness in any capacity, including social media. I got in a waiting Uber. I didn't look back. What followed in the days after was ugly. Sophia tried to call, texted, emailed, left voicemails crying, begging to talk. She swore it was a moment of weakness, said she was confused, that it only happened twice. I didn't respond to a single message, not out of pettiness, but because closure is a luxury traders don't get. My father, meanwhile, went dark, didn't show his face for a week. Then, quietly, he moved out of my mother's house. She filed for divorce 2 days later. 40 years of marriage, gone. She called me that night. She was sobbing. I sat with her in silence over the phone for an hour, just breathing with her. She hadn't known. Not a clue. She loved him. She loved Sophia. She thought our families were becoming one. Instead, they shattered. She eventually moved to Portland, near my aunt. Said she needed space from Seattle. I understood. There was fallout at work, too. People talk. Word spread. But to my surprise, the support was overwhelming. My boss gave me a week off, fully paid. My team sent food to my house. Even people I barely knew reached out. Said they were proud of how I handled it. Said I did what most people wish they could do. And then, a month later, came the final blow. Rebecca called me on a Thursday. Her voice was tight, serious. Michael, I think you're going to want to hear this directly. She had been quietly investigating, pulling threads, doing what good lawyers do. Turns out, Sophia and my father didn't just sleep together. They had been planning something. My father had recently adjusted his estate plan. He was going to name Sophia as a partial beneficiary to a trust worth just over $1.3 million. They were planning to divert part of my inheritance, behind my back, through legal loopholes, marry me, then convince me to co-sign a few documents. Documents that would quietly reallocate real estate assets. It wasn't just betrayal. It was theft, planned, deliberate. Rebecca filed a formal complaint with the Washington State Medical Commission. Ethics violation, abuse of power. My father's medical license was placed under review. Even though he was mostly retired, it still hit him where it hurt, his reputation. As for Sophia, she lost her job. The Seattle Art Museum wanted nothing to do with the scandal, especially once screenshots started circulating. A private donor pulled a major contribution. They issued a statement. Ms. Rossi is no longer employed by the museum. Just like that. People asked me if I regretted doing it publicly. I don't, because I didn't just expose them. I reclaimed myself, my future, my truth. I didn't cause the damage. I revealed it. And if they didn't want people to know what they'd done, they shouldn't have done it. It's been 8 months. I still live in Queen Anne, same townhouse. But I turned the guest room into a home gym. Therapy has helped, more than I thought it would. I'm not dating right now. Not seriously. And that's okay, because healing isn't a race. It's a rebuild, brick by brick. Looking back, I know exactly when everything changed. It wasn't when I saw that text, or the photo, or even the QR codes being scanned. It was when I realized that telling the truth, no matter how painful, was the most powerful form of revenge I could ever serve. They expected silence. I gave them consequences. And that will echo a lot longer than anything they ever whispered in secret. If you felt the satisfaction of justice served, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for more stories like this. Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps bring these stories to light. Thanks for watching.